Day one of free agency, guys. We had tons of moves. Let's talk about them, break them down. I'm just going to pull up a list here, and we're just going to look through every single one of these free agency moves. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you guys do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as always, and let's check it out, guys. Very busy day, lots of drama, lots of rumors going around, and we saw some pretty big guys get signed today. So let's go into it. Alrighty, guys, so we're actually going to start from the bottom of this list and work our way up. These are all the signings that happened today, and then you can see where it cuts off right here at the bottom. So first off, we have Juan Toscano Anderson. He went over to the Los Angeles Lakers on a one-year deal for just under $2 million. I'm guessing they're just looking for a little extra depth with him. He's going to be a bench player coming off the bench, as everyone kind of expects with him. Next, Troy Brown Jr. Looks like he is signing with the Lakers as well. They got two guys for pretty cheap because they really cannot afford anything right now. They have zero room to work with how they have so much money within LeBron James and AD and Russell Westbrook. So they have no money to work with. So that's why you're seeing them sign two relatively just athletes for under $2 million. Then you have Wesley Matthews sticking with Milwaukee for just under $3 million. We had DeAndre Jordan. Who remembers when DeAndre Jordan was a potential close to max player back in the day? Dude signed for $2.3 million, or sorry, read that wrong, $2.9 million with Denver today. That's going to be a disgusting backup with Jokic there. It's going to help him shave a little bit of playing time off. Then we have Queen signing with Philly today. Don't really see too much coming out of that. He'll get a little bit of playing time off the bench. He has some pretty good talent, I would say, but still a young guy for the most part, 25. Really doesn't seem like he's going to progress too much, but who knows? He might be able to figure out something with an injury or something. He might be able to get something going. Gil, 2 years, 3.4. Javon Carter sticking with Washington. Both of these guys actually stuck with their teams, and Javon Carter sticking with Milwaukee, $4 million. Devin Reed sticking with Denver for $4 million. Damian Jones, 4.7. We have Detroit picking up Kevin Knox at $6 million. We have Joe Ingles for Portland picking up. Milwaukee picked him up for $6.4 million. Lonnie Walker. This was kind of a big one because everyone kind of knows how talented Lonnie Walker is as a guard. Him going over to the Lakers, it kind of gives them space to where if they really needed to, they could get rid of Russell Westbrook if that's something they're planning and run with Lonnie, because he is a very legitimate shooting guard in the league, and he can play point a little bit. He is a good passer, so I'd be interested to see what they end up doing with him. This is one of my favorite signs of the day. Got Andre Drummond for 2 years for $6.6 million. That's not bad at all. Chicago absolutely got a steal on that. He is a walking 10 rebounds a game. If he's starting, he's basically a walking 15 rebounds a game. He, in my eyes, is still the best rebounder in the NBA. He's obviously just a little bit out of shape these days. You guys, anyone that wants to argue that, look at what he looked like when he was leading the league in rebounds for, it was the Pistons, I believe, or the Cavaliers. And now look at him. He's kind of fat, a little overweight. So if he can get in shape, that honestly could be a disgusting pickup. Daniel House, he actually played really good off the bench for Utah, so I'm not surprised to see him get $4.2 million a year for 2 years from Philly. Philly is setting up to get rid of Tobias Harris, 100%. They re-signed Dedmon for $4.5 a year for Miami. They also got Victor back for $11 million here, which great signing. I'm sure he wants to go out and try to ball for a year and then get a little bit longer contract, because we all know Victor Oladipo was one of the premier talents at that shooting guard / point guard position in the league at one point. So if he can stay healthy, he might sign something big next year. I think that's a really good move by him to take the 1 year deal. Amir Coffey sticking with the Clippers. I'm honestly surprised that they're paying him $11 million over 3 years. I mean, I guess $3.6 million isn't that much when you look at it, but he really doesn't get that much playing time for them. Next, we have Patty Mills signed back with Brooklyn for $7.2 a year. I thought that's a very fair offer. Honestly, he probably could have got more if he went to a different team, but I honestly think he likes being in Brooklyn. I know there's a lot of drama going on right there, but if Kyrie leaves, he's probably the starter. And honestly, he's 34 years old almost, but dude shoots 40% from three basically every year. Thaddeus Young, dude's always moving around. He's getting 2 years, $16 million for Toronto. And then Isaiah Hartenstein is going to the Knicks for $8 million a piece, 2 years each. So a lot of 2 year contracts here coming up. And then we have DeLon Wright here for Atlanta, signing with Washington for $16.8 million. Kyle Anderson going to the Timberwolves, which I thought was a very interesting pickup for them. Probably just come off the bench, kind of fill in those roles for like, I mean, they have so much talent built into that team that they can kind of take that little extra. Like Kyle Anderson's not a great player, but he's a consistent player. He can go in and make some shots. It looks like he's playing in slow motion, but he still gets by people. $9 million a year. I think that's a pretty, for a bench player, not too bad. He's going to do he's a very solid bench player, to be honest. Like, he's not 6th man of the year award, but like, you're okay with Kyle Anderson coming off the bench. The one that doesn't make sense to me is Malik Monk. Why does he get so underpaid? 2 years, $19 million? He was like the best player other than LeBron James on the Lakers last year. Very consistent, good shooter. He's only 24. Seems to keep getting better. Obviously, Sacramento, like, doesn't like to like play, like, they're not going to win anything in 2 years, so I don't know why they even paid him 2 years, but I don't know, it's just weird. I feel like he is a guy that definitely should have got more of like a $15 million a year contract, maybe. I feel like I personally was impressed with Malik Monk, so I don't know if I'm just like on the wrong perspective on that, but I feel like he had a very solid year. And there's some other guys like here I will get to in a second, I'm like, I compare him to this guy. So next we have Nicholas Claxton. Think this is like, I think they're honestly overpaying for him. I think he does a good job, and he's young, and he can get stronger and do a lot of right things. But I thought this year was kind of like a step back for him. I didn't see him really do too much, to be completely honest. JaVale McGee came out here and got his 3-year, $20 million deal. Great job by Dallas, in my opinion. As a Suns fan, I am very disappointed to see JaVale go. He's an awesome guy. He just had a charity event here in Arizona, and I'm very sad to see him go. But he's going to go ball out for Dallas. They just got extremely big in the offseason. They had like no size, and they already got Christian Woods and now JaVale McGee. So they have 2 7-footers, basically. I think Woods like 6'10 or 6'11, but I don't know what else to say, guys. They just got extremely big. I'm kind of sad about it because Luka's going to get unlocked by that size. Next, Mo Bamba. I thought he was going to be a candidate for the Suns. Signed for, what was it, $10 million a year for 2 years back with Orlando. I'm guessing they're just hoping he can kind of progress a little bit. He's the backup center behind Wendell Carter Jr. there. I don't think he's ever played to like his actual full potential since he was so hyped up out of college, but who knows? Maybe he can kind of get it together. These 2 years could be something that's really important for his growth. Nicholas Batum signed back with the Clippers, $11 million a year for 2 years, 22 total. I mean, you can't really go wrong with this guy. I hate how they use him. I feel like Batum is that guy. He could be like an Al Horford. Like, he should be getting a lot more touches in some games. In other games, he doesn't get any touches. So it's really confusing to me because when I watch him, he's always in the right spots. He's always playing good defense. He shoots a pretty good 3. I just feel like they could use him more. Maybe with John Wall in there, they will. So I'm interested to see where they end up going with that. Deshaun Tate re-signed with Houston, $7.3 million a year for 3 years. Thought that was a smart one to pick up on. They have a lot of young talent going in there, and he's still pretty young himself. Gets some pretty good minutes off the bench. Tyrus Jones signed back with the Memphis Grizzlies for $15 million a year. Great backup role. Honestly, was hoping we could maybe get him as the Suns, but, you know, that's how it works. You want to stay on the same team because it works, and he likes his role. $15 million a year to play backup to John Morant means you're probably going to play at some point as a starter during the year because he's probably going to get hurt. Pretty good gig. PJ Tucker. This one was interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Like I said earlier, I think they're creating space to move Tobias Harris's contract, which I don't know who's going to take that, so they're going to have to eat some of that contract, in my opinion. But PJ Tucker to Philadelphia, $11 million a year. We all know PJ. He goes in there, plays good defense. He's 37 years old, so they have him until he's 40. I don't know. That feels like they should only sign him to like a 1 or 2 year deal, but I guess they want him for 3. I mean, I don't see him bringing like anything more than what Tobias brings. It's just a contract difference. So maybe they want to keep Tobias and keep him coming in off the bench. I don't know. Chris Boucher, or however you say his name, Boucher, signed back with Toronto today. 3 years, $11.75 million a year for 35 total. Honestly, I feel like that's overpaying him a little bit. He does play some really good games, but he also plays some really inconsistent games. And he's really just there to rebound. Like, realistically, he's just there to rebound. He doesn't score points that often. He does go in some streaks where he will get into those 20-point games, but I feel like that's a little overpaid. I feel like the NBA is one of those leagues where like things just don't make sense. Like, why is Chris getting 11 mil a year, but someone that was a legitimate starter last year in Malik Monk is only getting 9.5? I don't know how he gets more than him. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Next, Marvin Bagley. This is a great sign for Detroit. He looked amazing. Minimal minutes with them, and he looked so good. And they created space for him to be the number one starter for them at power forward or center, however they want to run him. And dude is going to get his share. He went to my high school, and I think he was 5 years younger than me, so I didn't get to see him play in high school. But obviously, all the rumors come around, and apparently he's a pretty good dude for the most part. And the dude, 12.3 mil, dude. Congratulations. Don't forget about your high school. Just kidding. Bobby Portis, this is a great sign by Milwaukee. I feel like that team is just nothing without Bobby. It's crazy to think that Bobby Portis is only 27. When you look at Bobby Portis, he looks like he looks like PJ Tucker. He looks like he should be 37, but only 27. They get him for 12.2 mil a year. Great contract for him. I actually think that was the max contract, if we read it correctly yesterday, that he could get offered. So congratulations to Bobby. Milwaukee, good move. Now, this one is where we start getting a little bit interesting, guys. Lou Dort got 5 years, 87 million, 17.5 million a year. I am a diehard ASU fan. He went to ASU. He plays good defense. They're calling him an elite defender. I don't know about an elite defender. How can you be an elite defender if your team gives up 120 a game? I just don't see that. So, to me, Dort is that guy that he's just kind of going to be the gatekeeper. He could just keep getting better, and he has put out some good seasons for OKC. But this guy here, for the time being, like, I don't think they're going to win in 5 years. Like, I feel like they're going to win, like, at that 5-year mark, that's when they're going to start winning. Like, they have so much young talent and so many picks. Like, that 5 years from now is when OKC is going to be like, okay, you got to watch out for them. Like, they're going to have they have like 75 picks in those 5 years. So, very interested to see. I just feel like that's just overpaying, honestly. I know my OKC friends are happy about signing him, but I don't know. I feel like that's a stretch. I also feel like Simons here is kind of a stretch as well. He's still really young as well, 23 years old, but 25 mil a year for a guy that played a starting role for the first time in this year because they got rid of CJ. I will say he did average like 17 points this year, and he played very well, but such a short window there to give 25 mil. And he was a restricted free agent. So they obviously see something. I'm sure Damian Lillard wants to run it with him. I feel like he probably is like, hey, I saw some good things out of him. I like him as a teammate. Had to be something like that, because that feels like a very high contract for someone that really hasn't played much. Like, the next one makes sense. Jalen Brunson, he got basically the same contract, $1 million difference a year. And at least he got a lot of minutes this year. When Luka was hurt, he was the starter, showed that he can be a starter on a team. He came off the bench all year, played great, started getting played with Luka in the playoffs, and showed that he can kind of work into any system. Jalen Brunson's from Villanova. He knows how to play defense. He knows how to play any kind of system that you throw him in. And a lot of people are hating on Jalen Brunson for getting this contract. I personally think he's a great basketball player. Obviously, there's some people out there that are mad that he seems like he's a one-trick pony for us Suns fans. I saw a lot of people hating on that contract, but I personally was impressed with them. Going to the Knicks, though, we all know what happens when you go to the Knicks. Bad things happen when you go to the Knicks. So we'll see if he can end up performing and kind of showing up for them. And then last but not least, Bradley Beal did take his supermax of the good old $50 million here. So with that, I think they're just trying to be decent for now, and then a couple years from now, ideally draft someone that's going to keep them going, or bring in someone big, because you don't sign someone like Bradley Beal and for $50 million and just plan on losing for a while. So I think they may actually sneak into the playoffs this year. I think they did make some good ground this last year with Kuzma kind of getting better, and they actually did sign some pretty good guys in that trade yesterday with Monty Morris and Will Barton. So they have some pretty decent talent. I think they'll make it the playoffs. But what they're not showing on this list here is Devin Booker signed a supermax, Jokic signed a supermax, Cat signed a supermax. So I don't know why it hasn't got updated on this list yet, but congratulations to those guys. They all deserve it. I mean, there's no way you can tell me Devin Booker doesn't deserve it. He's lived in literal hell for a while here in Phoenix, and now he finally gets the show for it. And he's getting the 2K cover, which congratulations to D-Book on that. Cat, you can't go wrong with paying Cat. I mean, he just does it all for Minnesota. And then Jokic just signed the biggest contract in NBA history. I don't know about that one. I mean, I understand he's the 2-time MVP and he does so much for that team. But like, I feel like if I'm him, I want to keep some of that money. Like, they just traded 2 of your best players. Like, I obviously already had these contracts worked out and whatnot before some of these trades even happened. But I just feel like they lost some people there in that trade that, like, they don't have that much cap space if you're signing the world's biggest contract. So I'm interested to see what Denver ends up doing with that. But last thing I want to touch on, I know this is a little bit longer than my typical videos. KD. Where's KD going to go? Is KD going to go to the Suns? How's it going to work? In my opinion, KD is supposedly the favorite to go to the Suns. As of today, he requested a trade. Got to remember, Brooklyn does not have to trade KD. They just don't. Like, he's under contract for 4 years. You never see anyone, like, basically ever come out and say, 4 years, let's get out of here. No, usually it's on like their second or last year on their contracts. So, in my opinion, the Suns send Ayton, which apparently they don't want. So that kind of throws a complete like stick in the mud for us. Like, I don't know how we get him without that. People want to get rid of Mikal. I personally, like, I have this weird thing where, like, KD's 34. Most Hall of Famers in the NBA have retired around 35 to 36 to 37. So, like, realistically, KD probably has 2 more good years in him. Like, just being realistic. Obviously, KD can go out and do more. Like, modern medicine's different now. Like, he could just come back. But he's only played 55 games the last 2 years. If we get rid of Mikal, I will be very angry, and I think we'll actually lose more games of it. But come playoff time, obviously, KD would be more important. I am a Mikal Bridges stan, though. Like, that's my guy. And I really don't want to lose him. He plays every minute of every game if you ask him. He's never missed a game in 4 years for the Suns. So I personally would love to see like a Jay Crowder, Ayton, and picks. I think that's good enough. They're going to be looking for a ton of picks, as Brooklyn actually has zero control on any of their picks going forward. So I think they're going to really value picks going like in the draft. So I think that's enough in my opinion, because the West is so deep right now. The Suns cannot just like shovel everyone over to Brooklyn and say, hey, KD, come here. We'll run the KD, CP, and Book. Like, in my opinion, that 3 doesn't win. Like, John Wall, PG, Kawhi, that's a flip a coin in that series. So, in my opinion, we need to keep Mikal, because if we sign Ayton, we have no room for any bench money. Like, 0 if we get KD, and we ship off Mikal. So, I think we keep Mikal and sign like a, I don't know who else is out there for centers, but we could easily sign someone cheap. We saw a lot of cheap centers out here today. So, man, lots of things happening. I don't know where he's going to end up going. I know there's a few teams out there. I do think the 76ers are a sleeper right now. They're kind of climbing up, but they have a lot to trade. Like, you could trade Tobias. You could trade Tyrese Maxey. You could trade. There's a lot of pieces in that puzzle that they can trade over there. So, low-key, that might happen. But a lot of people are also talking Miami. I don't know if Miami really has that good of a, if they can really get rid of anything, because they can't trade Bam to them. Like, if they were able to trade Bam, but they have that like restricted rookie contract where Ben Simmons has one of those, so they can't have 2 of them. So Devin Booker can't go in the trade because he has one, and Bam Adebayo can't go because he has one. So I don't know how they make that trade happen. Maybe like Struss, they'd have to send Hero. I just feel like these teams are already 1 seeds. You shouldn't be dishing out your entire team. Like, KD almost needs these teams more than we need KD. You know, it's kind of weird to say that, but it's kind of how I feel. So that's day 1, guys. Day 1 of free agency. We got a 20-minute video here. We don't usually do that long of videos, but there was a lot to break down. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Like I said earlier, if you guys did, let me know down in the comments, talk about it a little bit, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.